Hi everyone, it is Jessica. Thank you for coming by today to watch as I create this one-page layout. It is Craft IQ Challenge time for the month of September, and so I'm really excited to be making this page according to the parameters of that challenge. Now, if you are here from the Hop and you kind of are familiar with what that is, then you know what I'm working with, and if not, I will leave a more detailed description down below. So I am working with these two photos, which is one of the things I needed to do, and you can see in there my kids are under those trees that are far out, so you have to be kind of close to see them. And then I am using a bunch of papers from an old collection that I have, and I've just cut them out using my hexagon stitched thin cuts from Close to My Heart. And those are no longer available, but you could just cut some hexagons on your Cricut. And then I am using this old paper pack, which is called Splendid Sunshine from Echo Park, and it's something I've had in my stash from 2014. So that's going to be my something old. And then I'm also using, this is some new paper from Close to My Heart that just came out, and it is from that Noteworthy collection, and it's just the paper that has like the little dots on it, almost like a graph paper, only they're dots instead. And so I'm going to use the bright white side. Now, I've decided for my mixed media element that I am going to use some of my Distress Oxide ink in that packaging technique. So this is the speckled egg color, and I've just smushed it down onto my all-purpose mat and sprayed it with a little bit of water. And then I've crumpled up a piece of plastic packaging. So it's just like a bag that something came in. And I'm just dipping my crumpled piece of plastic into that the paint that I've basically made, and then I'm just smushing it down onto my paper, and I'm just creating this really random background. It looks kind of like a mess right now, but I am going to be covering a lot of this with those hexagons that I cut out. And then I just make a little bit more because I needed a little bit more color. And then I'm going to grab my water brush and I'm going to tap it against my scissors here so that I can also create some splatters with that same color. So I'm just really kind of going to town, making a big mess on my paper here. But then I decided that I wanted to have the color just a little bit more saturated. So I do often like to do this whenever I use that packaging technique, is that after it dries, I come back over it with my mini ink blending tool, and I just kind of sponge a little bit more color on top of it. And even though I am adding the same color to what I did with that packaging technique usually dries a little bit darker. It shows up darker, and so you can still see it, but then you have like that softer cloud of color going over it as well. And so I just kind of did that. And like I said, before the hexagons go down, it really does look like a hot mess on the paper, but a lot of that is going to get covered up. So I spend a few minutes, and I won't make you watch all of it, but I do spend a few minutes kind of figuring out what order I'm going to put my hexagons in. I'm just trying to pay attention to the patterns. I don't do it in a particular order, but just making sure that, I've kind of spread out the different colors and the different pattern papers, and then I've gone ahead and adhered those down. I left a few spots blank because I knew they were going to be covered by my photos. Now I'm taking my Dina Wakley gloss spray in the night color, and rather than spraying it, I'm just tapping the dropper so that I get some of those splatters. And I did this after the hexagons on purpose because I wanted those splatters to be on the hexagons as well, and not just part of like that background like I had done with the Distress Oxide spray. So I just kind of go around and splatter that. It's like just a really dark navy blue. It's really pretty, and it goes really well because I had backed my photos in some Harbour cardstock, which is a really nice dark rich color, and so it seemed to work really well, and then it wipes up so easily. All right, and so now I'm ready to kind of start thinking about my photos and where they're going to go exactly, and some of the embellishments and the title. So one of the elements of this challenge was to use at least 2 photos and mixed media, so I've got that part done. I also had to have something old. That was my paper collection. So now I'm going to I'm not sure where I'm going to use that sticker just yet. It's from the sticker sheet. Now I'm going to work on my title because I need to also have stamping on my background. So I think I'm going to use some of the letter stickers from the sticker sheet for part of the title, and then I'm going to stamp the rest of it. And so my title is actually going to be home is wherever we are if there's love there too, which if you are a Jack Johnson fan, you may recognize that as a line from his song Home. And every time I listen to that song, because I really love it, I always think to myself, I would really like to make that the title on one of my scrapbooking layouts, because I love that sentiment. And so that's what I decided to use for these particular photos. I took these earlier this summer when I was standing upstairs looking out the window. And I just love, our house is really tall. And so when you're up there, and especially on a summer day, the sky just looks so big, and the grass just seems to stretch on forever. And then the kids were out there playing under the trees. And it was just so fun. And so I thought that was a perfect title for this. Now, I did accidentally, when I was putting my apostrophe in my theirs, I accidentally stamped it in the wrong spot because my kids were talking to me and I wasn't really paying attention. So I'm just looking for some embellishments, not only to embellish my page, but what I can stick over top of that mistake. I'm sure you guys have done something like this before too, right? If you ever make a mistake, you just put the embellishment on top to hide it. So I have pulled out a couple of really old embellishments that I think about maybe trying to use, and that would also take care of that something old element of the challenge, as well as my wood hearts, which are retired from close to my heart, but I stocked up on them before they went retired because I love them so much. So I'm just going to kind of place those around. And then I'm also returning to the sticker sheet because another element in this challenge is to include at least 2 phrase or word stickers. So I put 2 of them down there in the bottom right corner, and they both say, one says blue skies and the other one says my favorite things. And that's just because it is one of my favorite things. I love standing in the windows and just kind of looking out at how big the sky looks and the yard. And then it was fun. Just, I guess my kids would also be included in my favorite thing, was kind of gazing at them playing in the yard. So I thought that would be perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere those wood hearts down with my art glitter glue, which I find works really well. And then I usually put something heavy like a block down on top of it just to kind of help hold it to the paper while it's drying. All right, so this sun is from the sticker sheet, and I did originally kind of put it on my anti-static pouch just so I could kind of play around with it before sticking it down. And I think I'm going to put it up there in that top right corner. So I pop it up on some foam tape just to give it a little bit more dimension. And I'm just going to stick it over the top corner of that photo, and then I'll just trim off the little part that's hanging over the side of the page. And really at this point, I'm just kind of doing a few other little things. I'm almost done with this page. I did off camera stitch these lines here in rainbow color. So I just pulled from the colors in the paper pack. And then I used the blue thread that I was using to kind of just go through the hearts. And I did that because a rainbow was another thing that I needed to use in this challenge. So I think I've got all of it. I have stamping, I have the wood, which I was really excited about because I was picked to choose one of the elements for the challenge this month, and that was my contribution, was adding some sort of wood. I've got the rainbow, I've got my punch, which is the hexagons, and my 2 phrase stickers. So this was a lot of fun. It turned out really busy, but I think I like it. So thank you for stopping by to watch today. A lot of ladies are playing along, and they are super talented, and it's so fun to see how everybody interprets the same different elements for a layout. So be sure to check out all of those links in the hat below. All right, guys, happy crafting.